Nice. So let's kick this thing off, man. I'm excited for this one, man. It seems like there's a lot of hype with you guys. Excited to hear about it myself and let the community hear it as well. So obviously, thanks for joining.
Yeah, thank you for having all of us. We really appreciate it.
All right. So maybe to kick things off, for the speakers that you have from the team, if you guys want to introduce yourself and just give a little bit of your background and light experience in Web3, even before we get into Trippin' Eight.
Sure. So, I'm Lysergic. I'm one of the co-founders along with Danny here. Um, been working on this project for probably almost over 5 months at this point. And so my background in Web3 is mostly just as a standard DGen. As I've been working on this project for so long, but just been super into NFTs for the past 6-7 months. But my actual business background is I've been a self-employed entrepreneur since 27. I own and operate music festivals. So I own two festivals, and then I am the director of a couple others. And then I do national tours, concerts, all year round, parties, anything like that. So my world has always been kind of brand building, hype building, marketing, organization, team building, community building, kind of all the stuff that actually leads into a NFT project.
Awesome. Danny, you all want to proceed with your backgrounds?
Yeah, hey, I'm Danny. I'm the co-founder of Trippin Apes. I've been in the NFT space since like last September or so. Before that, I had a nice run in the shitcoin game um, on the Binance Smart Chain. I um, I I've mainly been on the DGen side. I mean, I've been just full-time DGen for like the last a little bit over a year now. Um, but I also helped. I worked on some. I was on some teams working with some shitcoin projects on Binance Smart Chain. But yeah, before that, I kind of just did a lot of different things and kind of just pulling my different experiences to apply it to this project and everything I do in the future.
Awesome. Well, let's get down to Trippin' Eight. Can you guys give just a high level overview? Oh, I think we got one more. Is it one more person on you guys' team?
Yeah. What's
Flipper.
up? Yeah, Flippa, top 10 brisket recipes. Uh, my
I love it.
background is running consumer software businesses at a big tech company before NFTs. Um, got into NFTs about a year ago now almost. And most of my experience in Web3 is actually from MVHQ. I was in the Discord maybe 6-7 months, just always in the voice chat, degenning, trading, and yeah.
Nice. Well, uh, love that you were in there with the crew and you got a good background in sort of the DGen DGen activity, but also the learning that goes in there. So with that, you guys want to introduce us to the project and give a little bit of an overview?
Yeah, for sure. I can do that. So I'll kind of start how it was conceptualized and just kind of go over again what we're doing now. So, yeah, back in December, but even before that, I was, just starting to get in the NFT space as a buyer and just a standard DGen. So, um, just with the serial entrepreneurial like mindset that I have, I started immediately looking into kind of the back end on how you run these things and operate them. So started digging into that and knew I was going to do a project. And just with my background in the music world, I just thought it was, the world I'm in actually more so in electronic music is bass music, which has a pretty heavy tie to psychedelics in the psychedelic culture. So, that was where my brain just first went. And then we went through kind of the list of, do we do this as a human? Is it a bird? Is it an ape? Is it a, tripping tiger or whatever? We just kept coming back to ape because they're very human-like, but it seems like people kind of enjoy the animal aspect of NFTs as PFPs, anyways. And we've heard it a million times. The first artist we actually contacted said, "No, I don't really do ape stuff anymore," and has contacted us since, saying he certainly regret that he turned it down. But so we we knew that's a thing, but we just felt like we could make different enough art and just unique enough subject matter that wouldn't matter. So that kind of led up to, you know, our lore, which is, you know, I don't know how many people here are familiar with it, but our project is very, very lore heavy. It's kind of the whole basis of it. It feeds right into our utility. And, you know, right now, kind of what we're doing is we are slowly feeding everybody the information. You know, like it's not something, we don't have like a roadmap out there that's like, hey, here's what you can expect in, you know, Q2 and Q3. And the reason we do that is because we think that when you put that all out there, it's kind of like when a coin gets listed on a big exchange, right? And that price gets built in. So like the hype's already built in. So we want to do these kind of spaces, establish rapport, establish trust, and just kind of get to the point which we have where we're able to be mysterious and people still trust that we're going to do some cool shit is kind of essentially where we're at. So, yeah, the overview is, you know, again, there's going to be questions we can't answer in full, but we'll do our best.
Oh,
But
you
yeah,
can
so
leak. You can leak. It's okay to leak. We're
yeah,
here for
yeah,
it.
I'm sure. So, but the basis is it's a lore-driven utility project, and the utility is very in depth, which is why we are working with Hydra on it because they have the capability to build what we want. Um, but there's also a lot that we're going to do with it, like a lot of branding, either whether it's through Trippin Ape Tribe or through our lab, which is Valhalla Labs, which we announced yesterday. That gives us kind of the opportunity to, you know, brand Trippin Ape with something that's more countercultural, you know, or brand Valhalla Labs with something that maybe doesn't want to be associated with psychedelics, right? So um, definitely a branding focus. It was just, again, kind of my background, along with, you know, my background's in events. So I suppose you could probably guess that may be a part of it. But then we have a lot of on-chain. We have basically like an on-chain game in a sense, and not like a video game, but like, you know, it's a journey essentially.
No, I like that. That's interesting. The one piece that I was trying to piece together, and I think folks here might like to hear a little bit more about. Can you speak a little bit more about sort of that branding of Valhalla Labs and how how is that separate from Trippin Ape? Is it the same team? Is Valhalla Labs sort of the parent, and you're going to roll out a bunch of projects below it? Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah. So Valhalla is the parent, and you know, I hate to compare it to something, but you know, I wouldn't be mad if people started calling us the Yuga of Solana, right? So like, I think that could be considered a goal, right? Where we establish we have a killer team already. Like we worked for a long time to build a really great team, and we plan on expanding that team. But Valhalla Labs is really the core team behind this project, and so Trippin Apes is kind of the first stepping stone in the journey of Valhalla Labs, essentially. So, um, you know, we want to build again that trust and that you know, that hype through both entities, right? So, yeah, that's kind of the premise of Valhalla Labs. It's the parent company that will do more things. Like Trippin Ape will always be Trippin Ape. Valhalla Labs could be Trippin Ape, you know, a Gen 2 collection, another collection, you know, whatever. So it, you know, Valhalla Labs could acquire a media company. Like that's the that's the brain that runs the operation that can kind of expand and create the ecosystem essentially.
I can appreciate that. I think that makes sense. I'm a huge fan of a lot of these projects. I think they sell themselves short a little bit and sort of being single-minded. And the folks that'll win long term, I think, are the ones that'll create an ecosystem, right, with a bunch of different things, for folks to enjoy based on what they like to do.
Right. And I think some people get scared when you start talking about other collections and they think that, well, you're not going to focus on this collection, but it's like um you know, I run multiple music festivals, right? And each of them has their own team and they have their own specialties, and we built each team for a reason. So that can be done well and properly. So I think that's the goal. Just because, you know, in the Web3 space, at the end of the day, there will be some really prominent players, right? And I mean, Yuga's one of them. There's even a couple like Wagme Beach or Wagme Studios, the Catalina guys, and they're doing Bubble Goose Ballers now. Like because they built Catalina up so well, now there's so much hype around this Bubble Goose Ballers project. And not only that, when they announced they were doing the second project, Catalina whales actually shot through the roof. So like the hype in that just ecosystem increased, right? So yeah, building that big ecosystem that allows you to brand different projects with other companies or partnerships. That's the goal. So like we really believe we have a long-term vision for this. And it's, in our opinion, it's really hard to have a long-term vision with just one project, although it certainly can be done. But we're just looking at this on like a really big scope.
Appreciate that. So you guys, I'm not sure how big is your team?
The core team, like the core team that talks every day and
Yep.
strategizes everything, is 7 right now. And that does include our artists. So, but then, obviously outside of that, we have Hydra, which is like a whole nother team on top of our team. And then we have, a great mod team, like all that. So the real true core team is 7. And, that will certainly expand with advisors and new partners, strategic partners, and anything like that. But yeah, right now it's 7.
Nice. So I asked that. You've probably gotten this question a few times, right? You got the ETH versus soul debate. You've got, right, wrong, or indifferent. A lot of people associate soul with like some of the bad things that have happened with like rugs and different things like that, right? And I know in the FAQ you guys talk about, being doxed to individuals in the space and then being open to whatever the community feels like they need. So can you talk a little bit about just sort of trust,
Yeah.
right, within the community as well as the choice of soul and moving forward from there?
Yeah. So, the docs thing, when we initially were coming up with this, especially just Danny and I talking, just us two as the founders, we had actually intended on doxing like fully. And we just thought it would help with my background and, see the brands. I built brands outside of just the music festival world. So the problem became we grew so fast. Like within days, we we're at like 40, 50,000 followers. And we got hacked on day 3. Our Discord got hacked on day 3. So we took a step back, talked to some advisors, and they were like, don't do like a public docs. Because, let's say we do something that for whatever reason, a group of people don't like. They can go to all of our brands, start commenting on our socials, like screw things up for my partners and other stakeholders, right? So like the full docs thing gets scary when you get to a certain number of eyes on the project, right? Just even for ourselves, our personal wallets, our families, like we don't want anything to happen there, right? So but we want to make it very clear that we're not trying to hide from anybody. But we don't just want to put our personal information out, which it is crypto after all. So we are very doxed to, a lot of influencers. A lot of these people have my personal number. I mean, Frank from D Gods now has my personal number. Like if we tried to pull anything funny, we would be in some big shit. So that's kind of the route we're going. And we're already in talks with Magic Eden about a lot of stuff. I was on a Zoom call with them earlier. Like they know who we are. We're happy to do any KYC that anyone wants us to do to make them feel comfortable. I mean, like a third party KYC service. But yeah, we just don't think putting ourselves out there, at least not at this time, is the best move. There's a lot of people grinding for whitelist. Some people get upset because they can't get it, and it's just kind of a scary thing to do in crypto at this point with like the hype that's around it.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there's going to be tools that continue to come. Like one is like docs.io, right? That to continue to help with this, with keeping like some anonymity, but from a public facing perspective, but try to give some trust to people. And obviously, Azuki and what happened there being the
Right.
latest in terms of just people feeling like they're getting burned. I think there's a heightened sense of, hey, what are we buying into, and how is our funding being protected?
Yeah, and I think it's fair. And the interesting thing about it is like it kind of all started out as everyone not docs, right? So that kind of set the precedent. So now it's like hard to it's if every project tomorrow was like we're gonna docs, then we would docs too. But like because there'd be enough people to focus on, right? But like if we docs right now, like there's just too many eyes on us. You can it's we have the internet now, right? You can find out where people live almost just with their names if you know how to use it well enough. Like that's not something we're trying to do. I don't want to have to move because some crazy person is trying to do some shit. So, so like I said, what we're trying to do is come on these spaces, talk with the community, KYC to everyone that, is of importance that, people also trust. And we just think that's the safest way to go about it while we establish trust in the community while we're not putting ourselves at risk.
Nice. I like it. So maybe let's dig into the project a little bit and right. Some of it's being held back. So I'd like to start with community. You guys' Twitter has been live for I think about a month now.
Yeah, 24
Um,
days.
and you have 325K followers.
Mm-hmm.
Talk
Yeah.
talk to me about that and that building process.
Yeah, for sure. So we when I looked at this thing, I started kind of planning the launch pretty shortly after we planned the project. Like I kind of reverse engineered like how a lot of projects were doing it and building hype. I actually looked at a lot of ETH stuff because, an ETH, a Solana project, I don't say it's a toot our own horn. It's just the fact. There's no other Solana project that I don't think has over 200,000. So I looked at a lot of ETH stuff, and because there's projects on there that quickly get 100K, 200K, whatever, and we kind of looked at how they did it. But more importantly, I think not to keep going back to festivals, but it is what I know as far as business. So I launched this how I launched my festivals essentially. So we had a really big campaign pre-planned that included like a big organic push of a group that we basically put together. And then, kind of some influencer stuff. But the goal was to basically blow up as quick as we can so everything after that can become organic. And that's exactly what happened. Like we have not paid $1 into marketing since before the first day we launched our Twitter. And we put it into other things that need to be, obviously a lot of media and content and stuff like that to keep the brand image where it needs to be. But yeah, someone told me the other day that they had heard we spent 500K on marketing, which was hilarious. But we didn't spend anything after we launched, and we just focused on working with other quality projects to collab and build. And we really, really focused on quality content, which I think you can see in our first week. Like I hired a company that does digital billboards in New York, and I put up our digital billboard trucks, and I had a truck drive around the strip that had a graphic that said NFT sucks. No, wait, what is it? NFTs are stupid. And it had a QR code and two of our logos, and on the back it said it's not a cult. It was just like really basic, and we used that as a content piece. And then I also threw a NFT fest in March where we put Trippin Ape Tribe all over it just because we could, and I used that as a content piece. So we came out the gate with a lot of good content, a lot of merch, and we've always stayed in our brand voice on our tweets. I think for almost every single tweet, like we have a brand voice and we've stuck to it, so it's always in line with like the story and what's going on. So I think it was just a combination of really like thoughtfully piecing this marketing campaign together and hoping it would work, and it seems like it has.
No, it's been cool to see and to watch these things pan out. I mean, you always get the individuals say, "Hey, did they buy followers? How is it so hyped?" And then I
Yeah.
jump in Discord, right, and it's obviously grinding. To be fair, right, I haven't looked at any of the Twitter analytics or anything like that, but
Yeah.
what I can tell is that from a team perspective, you guys are real people. From what I see in the Discord, I mean, obviously you have whitelist grinders. Like, don't get me wrong, it's
Oh
always
yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Of
But there
course.
are some real people and some real conversations in there, especially when I'm comparing it to some other Discords.
Yeah, at one point that started to get questioned a little bit. We blew up really fast, like in a couple of days. We had an insane number of followers, and to be honest, we didn't exactly know where it came from. But some people started running Twitter audits, and they realized that basically everything on our profile is real, no matter what. Especially if you run contests, you're gonna get some bullshit followers, but on basically any Twitter audit, will show up between 97 and 99%, which is pretty killer. So no follower buying or bots or anything like that on our end. As someone that's dealt with brand building, we understand that once you start doing that, you start killing your actual engagement, and that's not what we're trying to do.
Nice, nice. I like that a lot. Um, what about, sort of right now, right? You guys don't have a mint price right now. You don't have a
Mhm.
mint date. You started off here talking about the fact that you guys are really just building, right? Which I'm sure some of that's behind the scenes, but some of that's probably forward facing, just building community as well.
Yep.
How is your team right now navigating just current market conditions? Like, are you guys like, hey, we're going to buck that, we'll price accordingly, and we're going to go? Or are you guys like, hey, we're just going to sit back, sort of wait to figure out when the best time to launch is, even if we're ready?
Yeah, no, we're not sitting back at all. We know our date that we have in mind for mint, and unless something absolutely insane happens, it's going to be announced in the next couple days. And the mint's not super far away either. But yeah, you're not wrong. Like, things are crazy right now. And it does put us in kind of a weird situation where, like, when we started this project, Sol was at like 110. Now it's at 50. So we have that decision to make where it's like we had X amount of dollars that we were going to raise because, let's face it, like, these are businesses. It costs money. Our lawyers don't care, you know, if one soul equals one soul or whatever. So, we have to raise a certain amount of money, right? But we obviously don't want to be like come off and with a mint price or a soul price for mint anyways that has never been seen or people aren't used to. So it definitely puts us in like kind of an odd situation. And we are still working through that, but we're going to basically do what we think is fair to the community without sacrificing like our vision and what we're able to do, with mint proceeds. And we want to be able to still fulfill what the whole plan is, or for us the project's like that's what the project is. So if we can't do it, then it just doesn't make sense. So we're watching closely. What we'll probably do is we're going to announce the date, and the mint price is just going to have to come closer to the actual mint day, because we've seen what's happened in the past week. Like, who knows where we will be by the time we hit mint. And we can't sacrifice basically our initial raise because of where Sol's at. It would just screw up too much. We have stakeholders in this thing. We have people to pay. So yeah, we're playing that portion by ear.
Now, makes sense. Makes sense. Maybe along those same lines, right? And as far fetched as the team might feel like it is, right? Who knows what'll happen? You got 200K plus in the Discord. You got 300K plus on Twitter. But what happens if you don't mint out?
I mean, yeah, that's a great question. I mean, again, not sound cocky. I don't foresee that
I know,
happening.
I get it. But what?
Yeah,
But what?
because again, we're not gonna price this to a point where it's not gonna be like 10 Sol, like, unless Sol goes down to $5, then it's a whole different conversation, right? But we're still gonna price this where we understand there's an optics thing here where we need to make sure that people, because a lot of people have been holding this Sol, right? So if you have 20 Sol and you bought it in November at $200 and now it's worth 50, the way that people perceive that value in their head is different. Like, they don't really look at it as $50. They're hoping it comes back to 200 before they ever have to spend it or sell it, right? So we're keeping that in mind. But yeah, I mean, it certainly makes things pretty difficult. Um, so yeah, again, we got to just kind of keep playing it by ear.
So, but just to be clear, no backup plan currently, just because of how you guys feel about the mint. But if something does happen, at that point, you would play it by ear to figure out what's next.
Yeah, so I mean, I think everything's really I don't want to say flexible, but there is, just with how much craziness has been in the market, there is that opportunity that, like, if shit really hits the fan this next week and Sol does go down to $15, I mean, we need to reevaluate, because, like, how are people going to feel about a 10 Sol mint? Is that going to make any sense to anybody? So that is those factors that we're just kind of closely watching and monitoring, and just kind of like trying to take a temperature of the market and see, our other projects starting to mint a little higher, like, because it's a really tricky situation to be in on our end, because our mint is soon, and there hasn't been a lot of mint since Sol's been at $50. But if Soul stays at $50 for 3 months, you'll see a lot of 3, 4, 5, whatever Soul mints. But being the trendsetter in this situation is not always the best. So yeah, to put it bluntly, we are in a really like kind of a tricky situation, and we're gonna just do our best to navigate it in the sense that we, like I said, keep our vision intact and make sure the community is not super upset with us. But we'd like to believe that in almost any scenario we'll mint out, and because we're not gonna ever charge the equivalent of $500 worth of Soul, like that's just not gonna happen. So if you kind of look at our price that we're shooting for in a USD value, it's insanely reasonable. It's just a matter of like, how does that look as a Soul value? But yeah, so we'll play around with it to make sure we feel good about minting out. I mean, just because everyone knows, like with a hype project, your mint is actually only a portion of what you can do as far as your raise because of secondary market royalties. But we just want to make sure everyone feels good about it.
Nice, I like it. So let's flip back to the project a little bit. You mentioned that the artist is a team member. Does that mean the artists you have signed on, are they going to continue post mint? Like, are they signed on to continue, throughout the life of Trippin' Ape?
So he is yes and no. So yes, in the sense that there are some things in our utility that will require graphic stuff along the lines of what he does, but we also do have graphic designers that I didn't include in that core 7 that do a lot of our like content stuff, right? Like that, like our header photo on Twitter and that 300K photo we posted the other day is not by our artist, our NFT artist anyways. So yes, he's on the team. Yes, the goal is to keep working with him. We think he's an incredible artist. He's someone I know from the actual like bass music scene, as a psychedelic artist, and his real work is actually incredible. So the fact that he was able to kind of transfer this over in these like goofy Trippin' Apes was amazing. But yeah, so he is a part of the team and will continue to be. It's kind of just a matter of like what we're doing. At some point, maybe this collection, and we know, but I'm just gonna say this out here, but maybe this turns into something else. Maybe it's a second collection, and the goal is to have him keep doing as much as possible for us.
Nice. And the art looks cool, right? I mean, obviously there's a bunch of derivative apes, and if you talk to me, I'm like, geez, a couple months ago, I'm like, man, I'm so tired of these derivative apes.
Yeah,
But every time I
yeah,
looked at them, like they continue to run, right? And
yeah.
I like the little bit of a different spin you guys are putting here, and really the way that you're driving sort of the marketing and the speculative plays there. Is the art done? Like on the 10K collection, is it done? And he's just doing touch ups, or are you guys still building that out a little bit?
So how that worked? Oh, and just to be, so we're not at 10K. We're at just under
Oh,
9,000.
sorry. Yeah, yeah. Eight, eight,
Yeah.
eight, eight, eight,
Yep.
eight,
Yep.
eight,
Yep.
eight, eight.
So okay, here's how that works. So when we were launching the project, we thought the art was done. We thought we were at a good place with it, and then when it blew up, we took a step back and we're like, okay, do we feel good about everything we're putting out? Do we feel good about the art that we're about to put out? Do we feel good about the team? Everything, right? So we looked at it and we're like, we probably need to kill off like 30% of these traits. So we had our artist Fig on overdrive, working just tirelessly day and night on all these new traits. And we scrapped some and changed some. And so right now, the art I would say is done. We're going through that generation process where we're like generating every single day. And we are each going through like thousands of JPEGs to make sure there's no overlapping traits, no weird little issues, and just making sure we like everything that's on there. Like we did a generation like 4 days ago, or no, it's probably a week ago actually, and there was like 6 traits that every time they were on one of the NFTs, it ruined the whole thing. And so we're like, okay, we need to get rid of all these. We need to replace them. And so I would say right now we are to the point where 99.9% of every single JPEG that comes out of generation looks super clean, really good. We love all the traits. I would almost say 100%, but nothing's really ever 100%, right? So you ask any NFT artist for a collection, and they're still going to tell you like, yeah, it looks really good, but I wish we didn't do this trait. But yeah, we feel really good about where it's at, and we just basically keep generating for the fact that we have a little time, and we want to catch anything and everything we can, because there have been projects, I'm not going to name them, but that have missed some stuff, and it happens. There's a lot of NFTs in these collections, so we just want to make sure we come out super proper and like top tier.
Yeah, or your team has to know if something's off with these apes. Like they get special attention, right?
Yeah, like
So folks will point it out.
yeah.
So maybe tease me a little bit with that. Maybe Danny or Flipper, right? You guys have been running these generative collections, right? You don't really know what the final ones are going to look like. You obviously have some PFPs up here, right? Which look pretty good, and they all have some distinct characteristics on them. What's the coolest besides the PFP you have? What's the coolest thing that you've seen? Like, give us a little bit of alpha, a little sneak peek behind the curtain of the art.
Did you want Danny or Flipper to take this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Either. I
sure.
mean, you can take it, but yeah, I just wanted to get their feedback in here a little bit too.
It looks like Danny somehow went to listener.
Did he get rugged?
Yeah, looks like he got rugged. Brisket's still on, but
Danny, throw a request out there, and I'll get you back up.
yeah, Brisket. You anything you can think of that you really like about the art? Maybe even if it hasn't been seen, I don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, without like going too much into the details on specific traits, like these apes are definitely tripping. Like when I just look at them and I'm like, wow, that is 100% a tripping ape, tripping balls. And I just think it's on brand. And I'm really excited to see these all over Twitter as PFPs.
And just as on mine, a note from me, like one of my actual favorite ones. I didn't pick it for my PFP. I picked the mushroom, like the mushy fur, and the reason because that was actually one of the first furs we ever came up with. So it kind of like it has a sweet spot with me. But Danny's PFP is so it's like a glass body, and it's a glass of orange juice. And the reason we did that is because we all remember as a kid, one of the scare tactics people used to say about acid was there was this guy that took too much and he thought he was a glass of orange juice, and if someone like pushed him over he would like spill and like die. So that's the orange juice fur, and I think that it's slick. The way that Fig did it actually makes it look like a glass, and there's like orange juice like sloshing around in it.
Nice, yeah, that one's cool that Danny picked. I
Yeah,
like that one a bit. Maybe one more question on or maybe two, right? You
sure.
can take them in tandem. We see the gifts, right,
Mm-hmm.
on Twitter. Is that a tease that maybe some of them could be animated?
So okay, I'm gonna give you some insight on kind
There
of
we
just
go.
where we're at with that. The plan was to have some like and when I say some, I mean like a very very small amount, like barely into double digits, right? Very rare. The thing we are dealing with right now is that, how do I say this without spilling the beans here?
Oh,
That
spill it. There's nobody here but me and you.
if we do that, it could affect a plan we have in the slightly near future for what happens to these NFTs. So like if we can figure out a way to make it work where we can have these gifts in the collection, and then this next move that we make can still work, then yes, we will have some. But we think it's more important to have. We think what we're going to be doing in the future with these is quite a bit cooler than having a very small amount that only a few people can get in the 8,888, right? So it's weird. Like I know we're really close to mint, but we're actually still working on that with our team to see if we can make this work. But basically, if not, sorry, we have to be very careful of what we say. If not now, maybe at some point. I'll put it that way.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Maybe to follow up to that, right? And one of the main reasons I asked, when they go into GIF mode, right, or animated mode, the coolest part to me, and folks will tell you, like I'm not the biggest art like person, right? I'm not a big, but I do think it plays into PFPs a little bit. It doesn't really drive the collection. I think community does and utility and all of that. But if you have bad art, then it goes away. But
Yeah.
the backgrounds that I see on some of those that are animated are really cool, and I think that could be really interesting in the collection.
Well, all I'm going to say is it's interesting you say that.
Cool, cool, cool. Well, I'll leave it at that. I'll let people's minds just sort of
Yeah,
wander through there.
that's what we're all
Um,
about.
yeah. So maybe along the speculative play, along the marketing play, talk to me about this cult, or maybe not a cult that you
Not a
guys
cult.
created.
Not a cult. Well, I
Where
don't know
where'd
if
that come from, and how's that driven?
so. If you read our lore, it is very cultish, right? Like
Yep,
it's
yep.
everything
That's what
would
I thought when I saw it.
yeah, everything would seem that it is, but we're just very clear that it's not. We're not forming a cult. And yes, a lot of cults have been formed around psychedelics. Yes, a lot of cults have a very charismatic, wise leader. Yes, they drink Kool-Aid, and yes, maybe some of our pictures have had apes drinking Kool-Aid, but we are not a cult. You know, like that's just the facts.
Okay, you are a tribe,
Exactly,
right?
we're a
Okay.
tribe of like-minded apes. But yeah, so I mean, again, it's just like our cheeky, it's our cheeky lore, and our the 4 or 5 paragraphs of lore we have out right now are literally just like the preface of this book that we're writing. Essentially, we're not literally writing a book, but like the story that's unfolding, like what we've said so far is the absolute beginning. We have incredible lore writers that are like, I mean, these motherfuckers could like write full scripts for movies. Essentially, maybe they have, I don't know, but yeah, so like this is the beginning of the story, and I don't know if you've seen our journals, but that's kind of our like roadmap in a sense, and they'll become more clear. But yeah, like we have a true story, like a true like story that we can take like a year deep, So, and shit, who knows? Maybe it will become some sort of series. I don't really know, but um, that's the whole thing. Like it's supposed to be fun. Like we think that the more fun you can have with your story, the more like that people can latch on to like what you're telling and kind of just the vibe you're setting with the whole thing. That's kind of when the communities really get behind something, right? I mean, I see people on Twitter all the time with the cult with the strike through on their Twitter name already, and like we haven't even minted, and people are always commenting it's not a cult, and you know I'd be lying if I said it wasn't part of a marketing initiative as well, right? But like
Oh, clearly,
that's
but we like it
yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah. So but that's the whole thing. So we just thought it'd be really fun, and it has been so far. And I'm assuming it will continue to be. There's a lot you can play off with it.
Nice. So you guys have a code for the tribe, right? Which there's 4 things in there. One's it's not a code. Then
Mm-hmm.
you've got trust the process. I'm assuming somebody's an Embiid or Sixers fan. And then you've got apes ascend as one, and then spread the mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's a code. But in terms of community, what's been the surprise for you in terms of what you've seen from the community or what's being built in that Discord currently?
I mean, probably the like 5+ people that have gotten tattoos, but aside from that, like the grind for whitelist has been crazy, and people have just been doing like awesome stuff, and we're obviously trying to do as much as we can, but when we have like what 2,000 whitelists left, and we have 200 members. I mean, we can't give everyone whitelist, right? So, but it's just been awesome to see like people. Like the other day, I saw a video of these 3 people that they went out and they like filmed this whole like well edited video of them like doing a graffiti mural, and it was like cool. They had like shots of their like car rolling around, listening to like some West Coast hip hop, and like it was just really cool. It's like cool to see that we have people making their own merch. We have people making like framing art, and it's been wild. Like one of the first things we did was we did put up a whitelist contest for art, just because our project is also very art driven. So the creativity that's come out of that has been insane. Actually, that's how we found one of our artists. He made a piece, and we're like, holy shit, like we need to talk to you. And now he's making stuff for us. So, and that's the cool thing about this Web3 space, right? Like you find people that are kind of just hidden, and he doesn't have a lot of followers. He should, but you find these people that come out from the community, and you bring them on, and they become part of the team. And yeah, I mean, it's just been really cool. So there's people that are in that Discord probably maybe a little too long, but they're in there day in and day out, just talking, making friends. And we think it'll also change. The whole dynamic of that will change quite a bit when It's just the holders, and there's obviously either like the DAO or the whitelist or any type of like holder chat. Then it's just a little easier to make connections, right? When you maybe have like 5,000-6,000 people in there versus 200,000. But we also, our goal is to somehow do something cool for the people that weren't able to get in, and we're still working on that. Because we've seen everyone grinding. We respect the fuck out of it, and we just still understand there's only so many of these. So we're working on something that can make people feel a little rewarded, and who knows, maybe it has some benefit in the future.
Nice. So I know there's no roadmap yet. I did hear DAO in there, but I won't ask about it. But
Yeah, I mean,
the
I will say, like, a lot of the standard stuff we're going to do. I'm not going to name each piece, but like you know the standard stuff that's on roadmaps, right? Like that's
yeah.
going to be in there. But we didn't want to just put that out and be like, here's our roadmap with this, this, and this, and this that you see on everyone's roadmap, and think that that's all we were going to do. So we just figured, okay, well, let's just not put anything out really, and just kind of start teasing things.
Well, let's stick on that for a second, right?
Yep.
I got a pre-mint and a post-mint question related to
Mm-hmm.
this. So you obviously have some people that won't care, right? Like you've got some people that are in here to flip, right?
Yep.
They'll do that. You've got some
Right.
people that are in here to invest and be in the community. They'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are planning to, roll out your roadmap in which you guys call an innovative or different way.
Yep.
How much information do you plan to give before the mint so that whoever does mint can at least feel educated a little bit more around what
Mm-hmm.
you're building?
So again, we released our quote unquote roadmap, which we called the journal, and that tag is "There's no roads where we're going."
Yep.
We have at least, I think we're doing another entry tomorrow. We'll probably have like 4 or 5 entries, and in those entries, again, we don't spell it out and say, hey, we're going to do this or that, but if you really read into it, you can make some assumptions on what's going to happen, because each one we go, okay, let's focus on this part of the roadmap, this action item of the roadmap, and let's think about how we're going to say we're going to do this without saying we're going to do it. So, so like it's in there. But the thing about this project, and I know you asked about Postmint, but things are going to happen very quickly at Postmint. In fact, we have an announcement that's going to be within days, well, 2 to 5 days, somewhere in that range. Postmint that we think is huge, and it's kind of our what we call like establishing ourselves in the space. Like it's that piece where people are like, oh shit, okay, these guys are not messing around. This is like these guys are actually trying to do cool shit. But the problem is, if we give any hint to it beforehand, it's basically announcing it. And we believe that, just like I said about, I think I mentioned that token thing. We don't want everything to be kind of priced in or hyped in. We want the hype to come out when we release something. Because if you release an entire roadmap for 6 months and everyone knows what you're doing, then it's not that exciting when it happens. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot to trust, but it is also kind of the meta right now on Solana. And so we're focusing mostly on like building trust, having people understand our backgrounds and what we do. And that way you can think, well, I don't know a ton that's going on with this project, but the team sure as shit knows what they're talking about. So I'm just going to follow that lead, and we'll see what happens, the week after mint.
Yeah, so and I can appreciate that context. I'm sure a lot of people on this spaces can as well, right? Majority of this space, if not all of it, right, is really driven off of that speculative nature, right? Especially when you talk about like secondary price action,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So my question is maybe outside of that post mint, right? You're gonna have those things. You're gonna have secondary, have speculation that continues to drive things.
Mm-hmm.
The best projects to me that stick around are the ones that can do things outside of their roadmap to keep people engaged enough
Yep.
to want to continue to drive hype and be a marketing tool for you guys.
Agreed.
So my question there is, can you, maybe not the tactical things, but can you speak to how you guys are gearing up to do things in between the announcements and deliveries, knowing those things are going to take time? I mean, you've got something 2 to 5 days after, but a roadmap is a roadmap for a reason, right? It takes time.
Mm-hmm.
How
Yep.
are you guys going to build in between there to continue to foster community and the branding piece?
Yeah, I mean, there still are a lot of pieces. Like when our roadmap starts and it becomes evident about what we're doing, because it will, like fairly quickly. We're not going to leave everybody. I think things will get more clear. I think the plan is right now, like again, we're pre-mint. You can't go buy it, but like we want someone to, if they see us something do, if they see us do something super cool, we want them to go, okay, shit, I want in on this, like this club, this
Yeah.
this project, and go buy it. So that's why we don't want to release everything right away. But um, I think can you repeat your question? And I'm gonna just try to think of exactly like the exact phrasing of what you're asking.
Yeah, yeah. My question is outside of a roadmap, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I get that you guys aren't going to tell them exactly what it is, right? That's
Right.
great. That'll help you drive speculation. But in between there, in my day to day, right? What is the community, engagement like? What is that sense like? Are you guys still going to be doing, you know, quizzes and cool things in the Discord or
Oh yeah.
contests, or like how are you driving things that are not on the roadmap to
Yep.
keep somebody engaged and they're not
Mhm.
just checking in, when the one thing hits, if that makes sense.
Well, I think that's there's 2 points to that, and one is our community manager King's great. He is overseas, so he's asleep right now. He just got off a little bit ago, but he is really good at just keeping people active in there and keeping them going. But what you said, the second part, is actually a big reason, in my opinion, to not have a defined roadmap that you only stick to. Because if in June and July you say you're going to do X, Y, and Z, then people are waiting for those things. But if we really don't have super clear objectives written out, at least for, consumer facing or holder facing, then they are kind of not waiting for the next thing necessarily. Like they're not like, oh yeah, in 2 weeks staking happens. It kind of just comes out of nowhere. And if we can always kind of keep people on their toes and keep them excited, um, that we think is just what actually excites people. Like a lot of people maybe don't even know that psychologically, but like waiting to kind of figure out the next thing is exciting for people inherently. So, and one thing I want to be clear about, the one of the first things that will happen in the first week sets off a trigger of, man, this could last a year, of something we're doing that is a true journey, essentially. And this journey has pieces that are always happening, things you can always do. Again, this sounds very vague to you guys, I'm sure, but there's things you can always do along this journey, right? And this journey takes a very long time, and there's different achievements, levels almost, and just different things that happen at these levels. So, like we were saying about why we're very lore heavy, like there is a story being told, and that actually comes about on chain as well. So that's why like we think we'll be able to keep people really engaged, because outside of anything else we do outside of this journey, um, if we just did the journey, like there's a lot going on there that people can get excited about, people can be talking about on social media. So that's the big thing. And I will also say, just in my field of business in the festival world, being able to pivot is one of the most important things you can possibly do. I've moved festivals 2 weeks before, stuff like that. I've canceled festivals when I needed to. Like you have to be able to make those calls to pivot, especially with like big meta shifts, right? So we will always be observing, always be watching. If we see meta shifts, we're certainly not going to be try and copy people. We're going to try and be ahead of those curves. And if like we think that, this is just an example and probably a bad one because we wouldn't do this, but like let's say that all of a sudden everything was 3D, then it's like, okay, well, do we need to put a 3D collection out quick? But just stuff like that, like if there's something that we see is coming, or we see something that no one else sees coming that we think could be the next meta, then we're going to do our best to pivot and make changes that we think, again, will keep people hyped, keep people engaged.
Now,
And I,
go ahead,
I'd
Danny.
also like to add something to that, just about keeping the community engaged, like outside of the roadmap. So obviously, we're going to be still doing the community events and games and activities and stuff. That's kind of like a given. I don't think that's something you should highlight, because every project should be doing that to be keeping their community engaged. But outside of that, so like just to, going back to the whole speculative nature of what we're doing, we're dropping hints in all our content, from our lore pieces to, the journal entries, transmissions, artwork, illustrations, all those things. So it'll keep the community busy through speculation. They're going to be in the Discord, working together, trying to figure out what's coming up next based on the clues that we dropped. And it'll take some time for them to figure those things out. And it's pre-mint now, and we're already seeing a lot of it. Like people are looking into things in our graphics and illustrations. Like trying to figure out what things mean. And half the time they don't really even mean anything. It's kind of like tinfoil hat type shit. They're just looking into it. But then a lot of times, people are really picking up the clues and figuring it out. But yeah, I think that's one big thing that will really keep the community engaged and, just paying attention and interacting with each other.
I appreciate that. One of the things I like that I don't think we have too much time to touch on, and I think you guys are holding close to the vest for a reason, but I like the on-chain mechanic, and it sounds like you guys are trying to build something different that potentially has never been done in terms of the on-chain journey that you're talking about. So I'm really
Yeah, I would say it's
intrigued by
never
that.
been done in the way we are doing it. I would put it that way. We're not inventing something completely new, but definitely no one's done it in the way we plan on making it happen.
Nice. I like it. I'm gonna pull some people up here in a second. Maybe get 2 or 3 questions to close this out. I don't want to hold you guys forever on this, but maybe a question while I'm searching for some people to pull up. And feel free to request. I cleared out the queue. Right, we're gonna do probably 2 or 3, or until Poop or somebody cuts me off. But um, what does success? So I know you guys are building this for the long term, right? You've got long term goals, you got short term goals. Obviously, short term, you want to get the mint out, you want it to roll out smoothly, you want to roll out whatever that 2 to 5 day utility is, and get those things going. 6 months from today, what is success for your project?
I think for me, anyways, in my opinion, it doesn't have anything to do with like floor price. It has to do with like how engaged the community still is, which I guess goes back to your question, which is why we are very focused on figuring that out. Like, I don't know this to be true, but I would assume there's maybe some projects that don't think much about post mint. They work super hard to mint out, and then afterwards, like, oh shit, like okay, now we got to come up with a plan. But we really believe that we have a long-term plan in place, and we're not trying to think super long term, at least with like utility, because we know everything changes. But I think to answer your question, it's like, yeah, it's community. Like if you still got people in the Discord 6 months from now, just typing all the time, friends come from it. You have a lot of PFP still on Twitter. You kind of still have that army built up. To me, that's what like that would make me feel really good. Like, to be honest, like if DGOD's minted in October, and where they are at now, if we were at that same level 6 months, they're 7-8 months actually. Oh yeah, 7 months post mint. I would be absolutely thrilled. Like, they're still making huge moves, new partnerships. I mean, they have without question one of the strongest like community voices out there. So that's that level we want to be on. We want more than anything people to be proud to rock their PFP still 6 months down the line. People still engaging in Discord. People still just honestly like having fun with the project.
All right, nice. And I said we'll get a couple questions. We're getting just in time here in a second. Just in time, you can come off mute and ask your question. Maybe he hit the button by mistake. We'll try and get somebody else up here. All right, Trippin, we pulled you up. Is it just me, or are the people we pulling up not not
Yeah,
coming
I
up with
don't
you,
know.
or is it?
Yeah,
Hey, hey,
maybe they
hey,
requested a long time ago.
hey,
All right,
hey.
there we go. Not easy. How's it going?
I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Bro, I'm super hyped on this project, yeah. I have some certain questions I want to ask, and I'm going to be
Sure.
fast with it, yeah. I see, uh, I see because I'm in the Discord though, but in the voice chat mainly, although we're kind of being overlooked. I'm not going to say overlooked, but that's what it seems in a little way though. Now, I want to ask a question, yeah? Because this is the biggest project on Solana right now. Because I'm more of Ethereum plays, and this happens to be my first Solana project I'm gonna ever mint if I get the whitelist. Yeah. Now, I want to ask a question because I think this is the next big thing. Everyone is about tripping it, making fan art, doing a lot of things. And I don't see a lot of people getting whitelisted though. But if you come to the Discord, you see whitelist keep increasing. I want to ask, how do you distinguish between maybe some fan arts or some approach to get whitelist that most of your community do from each other? Like, because everything is amazing. You see people dance, you see people make some fan arts, you see people do. Everyone is just trying to get your attention. Some people sing, some people rap, some people do a lot of things, and most times they don't get noticed. Like, I want to know, like, is getting the white list for the community, because a lot of people are going to be asking the same question I'm trying to ask right now. Is
Hmm.
getting the white list in the community, is it based on luck or how smarter you are? That's my question.
So, the whitelist with something like this is certainly tricky, right? There's so many people grinding. I mean, I can't even keep up with how much art gets made in a day, and we have mods that kind of look after that stuff. And but here's the thing: when we first started, we didn't know how hype we would get, right? So,
Yeah.
like most projects, you start giving a lot of project allocations out first. So we gave a lot of project allocations out. That got us up fairly high quickly. We were
Okay.
also giving community out as well, but at a certain point, we kind of stopped doing the project allocations and we shifted towards community. And when you have 200 people, or excuse me, 200,000 people in a Discord,
That's a
if
mad
we
number.
whitelist,
Yeah.
if we whitelist 1,000 people in the community in a week, it's going to be pretty hard for people to notice. And there will still be a ton of people that made art, that made songs, that made videos, whatever. Um, Most people won't notice. So we are actively doing it. We are actively watching. But again, like I'm not trying to discourage anyone, but the amount of whitelist spots we have left is like of 0.5% of our Discord. So, you know, there are inevitably, unfortunately, going to be people that don't get it, and there's gonna be people that make a ton of art that don't get it. There's really just no way around it. So like, I don't want to sound like a broken record for every that every project says, but like the best way to do it is be active. Like the other day, I can't remember who it was, but I saw someone and I was like, I have seen this person nonstop in Discord. He comments on every single one of my posts, and I'm not saying comments on all my posts because that's not really how you get this or whitelist. But when we see that trend and our mods see the trends, other team members see that trend, we do our best to whitelist. And it's I'd be lying if I said that we are not going to miss people that have maybe even gone above and beyond what some of the people that got whitelisted. It's just impossible to like to see everything. Like the chat moves quick, the fan art moves quick. Getting tagged on Twitter all day, it's hard to keep up. And because on top of that, we still have to like run this project and like get a lot of stuff ready, right? So, yeah, to not sound too cliche, it really is just like continuing to contribute, continue to communicate. And I know a lot of people go, well, but I've been in there for 3 weeks, and I've been doing that. But without sounding like a dick, the answer is like so have like tens of thousands of other people. So we're doing our best, and we'll continue to do our best. But for those that don't get it, like we hope that You can join on secondary. Feel free to FUD and try to lower the price if you'd like. But yeah, I think that's the best answer I can really give. Unfortunately, I wish I had like more of a it basically if I gave you a way to be like, here's how you get whitelist, then everyone would do it tonight and we'd be in the same problem we're already in. So just keep grinding. We see the people that really are, and I think we're gonna go on a pretty big spree here of community whitelisting soon, because we had to get our allocations in our doc and make sure everything is correct and really see how many were left, because that counter on Discord doesn't count some of the stuff we have. So we're getting that all squared away, and we're gonna put a really, really big focus on the community this last, the last portion of this campaign till Mint.
Nice. So I can appreciate that. I don't envy the position that you're in. I've
Yeah,
obviously seen it a lot and
yeah.
advising projects and talking to them. But so maybe for our last question, Life or Ife, if you're there, you can come off mute and ask your question.
Good morning.
What's going on, man?
GM.
I'm good. It was good. I just want to ask one question. The other person that spoke earlier already talked about one thing I want to talk about, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about security. Like, what are the measures you guys are putting? Because you guys have a very good thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very hyped project,
Mm-hmm.
and I am sure that this is a project that will be on top of every hacker's list. You
Yep.
get me? So I want you to expatiate on how you guys are planning to protect your community from, because you see a lot of projects falling victims to, or a lot of projects that have good roadmaps, good things in store for the community, but end up getting messed up on the way by these bloody hackers and everything. So
Yep.
what are the measures you guys are putting in place to actually protect your community from this?
Yeah, for
Thank
sure.
you.
That's a great question, honestly. Fortunately, we teamed up with Hydra, and they have a guy on that team who's just an absolute beast when it comes to like Discord, in general security. So like, for example, when we got hacked in the first 3 days, and what happened was, one of our team members clicked on a Discord. It was a fake Discord. It had a fake bot, like a fake verification bot, and it actually makes you log in. So they grabbed his credentials and actually bypassed his 2FA. So we have had multiple security meetings since then. We have done something. Yeah, I'm not gonna say what we've done, but we've done something that allows it so our Discord can't be deleted, even if they get hacked. So, well, in theory, I suppose. And then, you know, we do pretty continuously like change our passwords, and our mods are very well instructed on what they should be doing as well as far as their own personal security, and we follow up on that a lot. Because yeah, you're right, like with this many people in the Discord, with this many people following us on Twitter, there's no question that we are a target, right? So for Mint, we still have some meetings coming up about like how to handle that security. And the Hydra team is, we partner with them because we think they're the best in the Solana space. So they're going to have our backs, and um, I don't. We'll see if Hydra thinks this is a good idea. But I thought about doing even stuff like, when we post the link to Mint, like I thought about just like having a Spaces live at the exact same time. So it's like you can hear me go, yes, that is the correct link, or God forbid, like, no, someone else posted that link, do not click it. So just kind of ways that we can in real time ensure people that they're like clicking the right thing. I think, if I'm not mistaken, been a little busy today, but I think there was even a project recently that got hacked for their Mint and was a bit of a problem. So um, I'm just trying to figure out that way that we can be like super transparent. We'll probably all share the exact same Mint link on our personal team pages and the Valhalla Labs page. So like what we'll do is we'll have a document that, or an announcement really, in the major announcement channel that says, here's what's going to happen for Mint. Here's the things you can do to verify that this is a correct Mint if you don't feel comfortable. Because let's be real, if someone were to hack us, they probably can't get everything. So they can maybe hack our Discord, but they're not going to get our Twitter or our personal Twitters or the Valhalla Labs Twitter. So we're going to have a procedure that can make people feel safe. That's like, I get nervous every time I click a link. First of all, everyone should use a burner wallet for minting. That's a given. But I get nervous when I click a link. But if I saw, from 5 of the team members in the Trippin 8 page and the Valhalla Labs page, that's all saying, yes, that's the correct link, I would feel really good about clicking it. So we're going to try and put some of that stuff into place, especially if the project founder was on Spaces and going, yep, that link's legit. That would make me feel good. So we'll have a combination of those things, I'm sure.
Nice. Yes. I mean, obviously, security is one of the most important things. I definitely have my multi wallets, and we're going
Oh
from
yeah,
there.
you have to.
But Sergic, anything you want to leave us with, right? Anything you want to tell the the tribe. Anything you want to tell the tribe as we wrap this up?
Well, that's what I was gonna remind everyone. That is not a cult; it's a tribe. But no, I appreciate you guys for letting us do this. And again, we're really just trying to. We have such a mysterious project, so we're trying to come out here and make people understand why we're mysterious, because we don't like to break character in the Discord, on the Twitter, anything like this. But spaces allow us to become personable, and just you guys can really get to know us. And we'll even admit that, like, yes, obviously these are our brand voices. Like, it's we can kind of step back from like the theatrics for a second. So we certainly appreciate the platform to be able to do that. And there is finally going to be some pretty significant information coming here in the next, I don't know, 2 to 4 days.
Nice. Well, we love it. Appreciate the MVHQ team for always, bringing a lot of the best projects, the hottest projects out there to us, and letting us hear from them. And then obviously appreciate the Trippin 8 team from coming on and telling us about the project. Best of luck to you all, right, as you come up on Mint. And
Thank you.
for anybody in the audience that wants to know more, hop in their Discord, man. It's alive and pumping. Those guys are responding. They're active. So if you've got more questions, I know we have 40 plus requests to speak, and I deleted a bunch of other ones. So if you've got questions, if you need to know more, definitely hop into Discord and they'll get you settled over there.
Awesome, man. We appreciate it, guys. Thank you so much.
All right,
Thanks,
thanks. Stay
guys.
tripping, everybody.